Hey guys, Brian, the lovers of the goods here. I'm returning to you tonight for well, past mid uh, evening and all that. So I'm returning to you for a new album review, another new album review, and then tomorrow's album review will be for the game's new album. But this is for the one you've been waiting for, Niki's new album, Nicole, that I just got done listening to for her second studio album that I listened to for all 12 tracks. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for all 12 songs on this album and let you know my thoughts on this album as a whole. So let's dive into this album review. Now, pretty much, I enjoyed all the songs for sure. Even though it is mellow and it's an acquired taste for some listeners, I think this is a contender for Album of the Year for sure. I wouldn't say it may get Album of the Year, but it's a contender, and I will explain why. Before has really hooky, I wouldn't say hooky melody, but it's got a nice melody. So Niki sounds really good vocally in this track, and I just love the overall production and mixing in the song. So it did very well, this song. So pretty good job, Niki, on this track. So 5 out of 5 for Before. Definitely go check out my track review if you haven't seen it for Before. I think you guys will enjoy it. I think I remember doing it back in June this year. So it was a few months ago, but yeah. The next song after Before is High School in Jakarta, the song we got last week, of course. Love this song. It's got a great beat to it, great melody, and it flows perfectly with how the album is flowing through majority of this listen. So 5 out of 5 for High School in Jakarta. I like the story behind the song and what it's trying to tell the listener and all that. So it's an interesting. This was a really good album for sure. I was really surprised. This is probably one of her best. I think Moonchild is kind of the weaker album to this one, and she worked really hard on this album for sure. So 5 out of 5 for High School in Jakarta. I really enjoyed that song. Back Burner has a quirky melody, but it's still really good for what it went for. And uh, Niki sounds really good singing in it, and basically the overall production and the sonically it's sounding pretty well. So 5 out of 5 for Back Burner. Keeping Tabs was a pretty interesting song. It's flowing perfectly with how the album is going about itself, with the overall flow to this album. It's staying afloat, and that's what's great about albums like this, where albums tend to not drift off into something else, and they want to keep it afloat. And that's what I appreciate about this artist. Even though she tries some experimentation and some mellow tracks, this album works for what it's going for. So 5 out of 5 for Keeping Tabs. The Apartment We Won't Share, pretty nice song. Like the acoustic guitar in it, and Niki sounds really good vocally. So 5 out of 5 for this one. Facebook Friends is another pretty good song. Didn't have any issues with it. Wasn't sure what I was gonna think of it at first because I thought it was gonna be one of those iffy songs, but no, it just was a mellow track, but it worked pretty flawlessly with how the execution and delivery of the song was playing out. Even though, like I said, this album is mellow and it's a very soft, mellow album for her. She is a pop singer, so yeah. If this is not the music for you, you might have to find something else. But personally, Facebook Friends 5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. Um, Anaheim, I believe is what it's called, or Anaheim. Uh, Pretty strong song. Didn't hate this one. Nice acoustic work from the acoustic guitar, and Niki's vocals is sounding really good. So, no, not really hating this song. It's very mellow, but pretty much almost all the songs are mellow. So, if you're expecting something like from Moonchild, you're gonna be surprised. Because it's not like Moonchild. And Moonchild was the weakest album. Even though it had good songs on it, it just lacked some kind of authenticity to be good for some odd reason. Um, it was a good album, it just wasn't her best. Not like this album. So, 5 out of 5 for Anaheim or whatever. Milk Teeth is a pretty strong song, even though some wordings and lyrics in it can be a little sus, kind of cringe. I try to avoid that and look at the positives with the song, and it's got a lot of strong lyrics, for sure. Despite the way she sung Milk Teeth, it made me cringe a bit, but not to the extent where I hated it. I tried to roll it off my back and be like, you know what? It is what it is. This is what she wanted to do with this album. So 5 out of 5. Autumn is a pretty strong song. I really enjoyed this track. Um, it's got a nice beat to it, the melody, I mean, and just the overall flow and execution. It's synchronizing well with how this album is staying afloat and not really drifting off into a different kind of melody. They are different melodies, but they are mellow too at the same time. So 5 out of 5 for Autumn. Oceans and Engines, I remember reviewing this song, I think back in July. Definitely go check out that review if you haven't seen it. I think you guys will enjoy it. I really like this song. It's very emotional, but it's well done for sure. It's a pretty spot on good track from Niki, and she sung very beautifully in this track, in my personal opinion. So 5 out of 5. On the Drive Home was a really nice song. She mostly sounds like she's singing country in this song a bit, with how she's singing it a bit, but that's not what she's trying to go for, because she's more of a pop singer and R&B too. But she does very well with her vocals in this song, so 5 out of 5. Take a Chance with Me, the final song, has a weird melody, but the song works with what it's going for. It's not the worst song, but it's a pretty good song. It's really good for sure, so 5 out of 5. Overall, production, mixing, and execution, I think Niki Nicole album was a pretty excellent album. Was not disappointed. I was really surprised. I was worried for some songs, but with the overall delivery and execution, this is going to be contender for album of the year for sure, in my personal opinion at least. But hey, everyone's got their own opinions about music. It's all about respecting one another's opinion, despite if you don't agree with someone's opinion on it. Yeah, it's a mellow album, but I personally like some mellow albums depending on how they sound and execute mainly. So first score for me, I'm giving Niki's new album Nicole a 10 out of 10. Really awesome album. It's really excellent. She did a very good job mixing and producing this album. It worked very well with how it was sounding, and I was not disappointed with this album. I was liking the mellow tracks that she put out, and this was probably a more. Sorry about the background noise. Just some crazy people out in my neighborhood or whatever. But yeah, it, that's gonna be it for this review. I personally like this album for what it's going for, and just the execution and delivery, like I said, did very well. The album stayed afloat. It didn't try to do something else like the other albums I've heard today have been alright, but not great. Like the Pale Waves album was really disappointing with how it was sounding, and it did not mix well with mesh well with how it was sounding. So anyways, comment below. Let me know what you guys thought of the new Niki album, Nicole. I am giving it a 10 out of 10 because it is contender for album of the year. And we'll just see which albums are going to be contender for album of the year. You'll be surprised who it's going to be, but I don't want to spoil who it's going to be until December. So if you did enjoy this album review for Nicole, I did the best I could to make it as good as possible. Comment below and let me know your thoughts on it. Tap a like on this video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you can. Support the channel. Sorry, I was kind of burping for a second because I just got done eating dinner. But yeah, I really did enjoy this album as a whole. And sorry about that noise. It's someone outside or whatever. I don't know who. So weird. But yeah, I really did enjoy this album. And I do apologize for that background noise. I'm going to be wrapping this video up in a moment. But I hope you enjoyed this album review for Nicole. I did the best I could to make it as good as possible. The next album review is going to be a premiere video for Muse's The Second Law. And I don't know when I'm going to do that. It's probably going to premiere sometime tonight. But until then, I hope you enjoyed this review. The game's Dramatic Heart vs. Mind album review will be tomorrow, sometime during the day. So stay safe. Take care, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Nicole album review, and as always, I will see you in my next review.